So scrolling through YouTube the other day, I ended up coming across this video from Hins. Now, if you don't know who Hins is a competitive DBD player who has way more experience time in the game than most people. He's also a really good friend with Hots. I mean, Ots is kind of hot. Anyway, he's also a really good friend with Ots, and you'll see them collaborating a lot. Now, as normal, even though I'm going to be disagreeing with Hins in this video, I do have to make it clear because, well, you guys know why, that I don't hate Hins. I don't dislike Hins. I enjoy his content. It's the reason why I was even watching his video to begin with. That out of the way, Hins made a video about MMR, and in it, he kind of broke down how MMR works overall. And I will say that I have nothing to dispute on what he said. I don't know how MMR works. I'm going to take what he said at its value because I'm going to assume that he is not lying to us. He said that he got all of his information from things like data mining and stuff that was provided to us directly by Behavior. And really, MMR seems to work on pretty much a straightforward scale. Without any kind of deviations, it looks like the way MMR works is there is a hidden number called your ELO, which goes up and down depending on how you performed in the match individually. If you are the killer, 3 to 4 kills is a win and it raises your ELO. 2 kills is a draw and nothing happens to your ELO, and 0 to 1 kills is a loss and it lowers your ELO. For Survivor, if you escape through the gates, your ELO goes up. If you escape through the hatch, it's a draw and your ELO goes nowhere. And if you die, your ELO goes down. And I agree with Hins that the second part of that is kind of asinine. It seems kind of stupid to me that somebody could run a killer for 5 gens, go out of their way, sacrifice themselves to get an unhook. All 3 of the other survivors get out, they die, but they still lose ELO for that. At the end of the day, Survivor is a team-based part of the game. It should be based on the team. To me, the MMR should just be the invert of killer. If 2 survivors die, then all survivors of the trial don't gain or lose MMR. If 3 or 4 survivors escape, all survivors in the trial gain ELO, and if less than 2 survivors escape, so 3 to 4 survivors are killed, then all the survivors in the trial lose ELO. That just seems like the most logical reason to me. It's also just kind of weird because hatch is something that happens as a kind of last resort, and so you're still punished for escaping through hatch. Like, even if all 3, that's the thing that weirds me out, right? Let's say all 3 survivors got out through the gate, but the killer is camping the gate with NOED, and they have gates, which means that both gates are close together, and you run away from the gates and find hatch. You still, even though you technically lived with the rest of your team, you still, like, it's still counted as a draw, which is really dumb. But that's not where I disagree with Hins. Where I disagree with Hins, and it's only slightly, is at one point in the video, he was talking about how the matchmaker works. And basically how it works is the matchmaker prioritizes fast pace matches over fair matches. And this is kind of a double-edged sword. Let's talk about that real quick before I talk about my disagreement with Hins, my slight disagreement with Hins. It's a double-edged sword because, and this is something that I've been arguing with people for a long time, skill-based matchmaking is very, very important. It is a necessity of online multiplayer live service games. And the reason it's a necessity is because player retention is dependent on the amount of fun the player is having. And I don't give a fuck how much you want to say you don't care about winning, or you think that you shouldn't take a game so seriously that losing affects you. Nobody, not a single person in this world, likes losing over and 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 over again. And if those losses are complete and utter blowouts, it is an even worse experience. A new player going into a game should not be facing Hins, Ots, Shroud, for FPS games, You know, like, new players should not be facing high level players. It just shouldn't happen. And when you're begging for skill-based matchmaking and MMR and all that stuff to be removed, that's basically what you're asking for. You're asking for new players to have a worse experience than you. And you yourself are trying to get games that aren't as sweaty, and I get that, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, the sweat level of your opponents is always going to be based on what your opponents are trying to accomplish, right? I played an entire day of Billy on the day I'm recording this, and most of those games were just not sweat fests. And I understand I'm not as good of a killer as I used to be, and my MMR on Billy isn't that high because I never play the fucking limping dope, but the people I were playing against were absolute bots, and that wasn't fun for me. Quite a few games, people just panicked. I would get behind them with the chainsaw, and instead of trying to turn around and get to a place where it'd be harder for me to curve or something like that, they would just start running around in circles and being like, what do I do? But on the flip side, and this is where the double-edged sword comes in, longer queue times, which is something that Hens was asking for, which is where I slightly disagree with him, are also bad for player retention. I don't know if you've ever been in a game where, or played a game where the queues were just so unbelievably long, you lost interest and logged off for the day. But I have. I've been in that situation many times in other games. And see, so it's very difficult to be like, oh, well, they need to be more fair for newer players, which is something Hens and I agree on. Hens very much agrees that he should not be playing against people with 50 hours, 100 hours, 500 hours, because he is way too good at this game to be playing against those people. And I fully agree. But where I disagree is where he said, I would much rather longer queue times and get fairer matches. I don't think you would. I mean, maybe you would. I don't know, Hens, right? Like, I've never even had a conversation with the guy. I'm just saying that I don't think that that's necessarily 100% true, because at the end of the day, for a lot of people, longer queue times are not that fun. If you join my stream when I'm doing late night DBD, you will see me bored out of my mind, because the queues can sometimes take 5 to 6 minutes to pop. And so it gets really annoying. And so I don't really know what the solution is to matchmaking. I know the solution to ELO, and that's to get rid of the survivor side being so fucking stupid. But I don't think that the solution to matchmaking is as easy as we're making it seem, right? Because we need fairer games, but we also can't have queue times that are 10 plus minutes long just because you happen to hit the soft cap of ELO or you happen to be in the higher MMR. I think it's incredibly important that we take into account both of those factors. But that's all I have for you guys today. As always, I don't make these videos just to spout my opinions at you. I do want to hear your thoughts down below. Please make sure you guys let me know. And a special thank you to our channel members, Nuclear Bomb, Cat Lover, and Spirit Upgrades for their additional support. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one.